Hello and welcome once again. I'm Bob Jimenez, your host for Islam and Contemporary Life. Conversations with Professor Dr. Fathi Osman. Contrary to some misconception, Islam does not discriminate between men and women. In the Quran, God addresses men and women equally. In fact, Islam condemned pre-Islamic practices degrading and oppressing women and provided them with rights that are unprecedented today. For the next hour, we'll be discussing all of this with Professor Dr. Fathi Osman. He is one of the world's leading Islamic scholars, and he will be discussing status, rights, and roles of women in Islam. Professor, it's always nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Would it be correct to view Islam as a patriarchal religion?
I don't think that it is a patriarchal religion, but probably the Muslim societies may be patriarchal societies because the society may not be an accurate representative of the religion or of any ideology or political system that they believe in. The society is more complicated, and there are traditions and there are conscious and unconscious heritage in the people, and sometimes this is not the ideal which the religion calls for. So this is the situation in many Muslim societies. They are patriarchal because of certain historical circumstances, because of certain traditions. Man is the main figure in the society as a whole and also in the family. So it is no woman society, but this is not the responsibility of Islam. As a matter of fact, it is deviated. It is a deviation from Islam.
Muslims take just about everything they know about life and their religion from the Quran. Does the Quran at any point ever characterize Eve as a temptress?
No. As a matter of fact, the Quran considers both Adam and Eve equally responsible for the sin of eating from the prohibited tree. And it is not the temptation of Eve, it is the responsibility of both. And they made a mistake because there is something else in the human being, which is curiosity. And having this prohibition, there was a curiosity to know why this was prohibited. And the curiosity may lead the person to the right thing because it may open the way for knowledge, and it may be also exaggerated to lead him to something which wastes the efforts of human being in nowhere.
Anyway, in any event though, there was a sin committed, and where does the Quran place the blame? On Satan?
No, on both of them, and on Satan, of course, the temptation of Satan, but both of them followed this satanic temptation, and they repented, and God forgave them and accepted their repentance. So there is no original sin in Islam. They came to earth forgiven as clean human beings.
That's an interesting comparison because in Western religions, many have felt that women in Western cultures have been subjugated to men because of Eve's sin. I'm curious to know if the Quran ever depicts women as cursed or unclean, untrustworthy, or even morally inferior.
Not at all. They are equally the creatures of God and the creation of God and human beings, and there is no difference at all between men and women. As a matter of fact, even the common belief that Eve was created from the rib of Adam, we haven't any authentic, acceptable source for this. The Quran never spoke about this. The Quran speaks that both Adam and Eve were created from the same source, and this source is the creation of the human soul by God.
So equal right from the beginning.
From the beginning.
How about the distinction between the birth of boys and girls? Does the Quran make a distinction there?
Yes, because as a matter of fact, it condemns this, because in pre-Islamic Arabia, as a Bedouin society and fighting society, tribal society, every tribe fighting the other. Of course, they need men for fighting. At that time, there was no technology to use the woman in fighting behind certain machines or behind certain equipment. So the swords needed men. So the man was, by the nature of this society, is preferred. So when a girl comes, of course she was not received well. She may not be completely deprived from all rights, because relatively the pre-Islamic Arab society, the woman to a certain extent was not completely deprived from all rights, but of course a second-class creature.
All right, well, explain more of how a woman was treated in Arabia prior to Islam.
Well, they are mothers who may add to the number of the members of the clan or the tribe through breeding, and this is their main job. So they are a sexual object for the man to bring more members for the tribe or more power for the tribe. Some of them might have certain attraction, certain personality, but we are talking about the general or the average woman in Arabia. She was not completely deprived from all rights, but in the same time, she was not equal, definitely, to the man. In the Quran, there are some verses condemning burying the girls, the baby girls, alive. But this was not a common thing in Arabia. It was for the poor Bedouin areas where the Bedouins just move from place to place, and they do not want to have more burden to feed them.
But they never buried males alive, did
No,
they?
no.
Just
because,
females?
Yes, because the bull will earn money, will fight. He is the productive element in the society. The woman is just to bring more members to the tribe.
All right, how did all this change? How did Islam, I should say, change all of this? What is in the Quran that, in a sense, elevates women to an equal status with men in the continuation of life and development of society?
I think the main magic was turning the focus towards God. If you turn the focus of the human being towards God, and he is no more egocentric, concentrating on himself or herself, or on the tribe, or on the country, or on the nation, then the source of deciding any rights and the direction towards getting the acceptance, it is not the acceptance of the ego or of any other powerful class or authority in the society, but the acceptance of God. So the whole direction was changed. And God here is the creator of man and woman. And he said repeatedly that they are equal, and they are both his creation, and they are both responsible for carrying out the what Islam orders and what Islam teaches. So with this new direction towards God and getting the distribution of rights and responsibilities from him, a new life was created, and everybody is considering himself related directly to the Creator, to the Lord, without anything in between, and all human beings are equal according to this view.
You had a Bedouin society that treated women rather shabbily, killed newborn females, buried them alive, for reasons that you spoke of. But how was all of this accepted? I mean, it must have been a tremendous radical change for these Bedouin societies.
I think the radical change started from the faith. If you change the faith of the people, you are changing their alphabet. You are changing their language. You are changing their way of interpreting their existence, their role in the cosmos, in the world. Everything is changed. So by turning from the ego to another source that is the Creator, the Lord, then He is the Lord of man and woman. And the change came gradually. After changing the source and the direction, everything after this through the law came gradually. Most of the, or all the laws related to the family and the role of the woman in the family and in the society came after years of revelation and after moving from Mecca to Medina, when Muslims began to have a state and a law and they could enforce any law. But before this, they were prepared by their faith that both are equal. They prayed together. They believed in the same God. As a matter of fact, when some Muslims had to migrate to Abyssinia in the beginning, before the migration of the Prophet to Medina, the Prophet, according to the increasing pressure of oppression, advised some of the Muslims in Mecca to migrate to Abyssinia, because at that time Abyssinia was known that the king there is just. So there were commercial relations between Arabia and Abyssinia. And here Muslims showed the first appreciation of justice, whatever the faith may be. This is a Christian monarch, but he is just, then let us go there and live there. To enjoy justice from a Christian better than a Christian Abyssinian, completely different ethnically and religiously from them, better than suffering from Arabs who are torturing and oppressing them. So the first group which migrated, it consisted of men and women suffered to go to a strange country and to live in an environment completely different. They do not know the language. They do not know even how to live, how to earn their living there. And they accepted all this. I don't think that it was easy, but they accepted it according to the new motivation of the new faith.